Hola, hola, ¿qué tal?
Perfecto.
En este video, aquí, Sam Acevedo, para los que no me conocen, mostraremos la entrevista que hizo nuestro hermano de Bogotá, Colombia, Santiago Suárez, con el tremendo Wolf Hoffmann de la mítica, legendaria, histórica banda de heavy metal Accept, que viene muy pero muy pronto a Latinoamérica. La fecha para la que está considerando esta entrevista muy entretenida con Santi es el 9 de mayo en Bogotá, en el Teatro Astor Plaza, un recinto que, si no lo conocen, si tienen la oportunidad de ir a Colombia y ver un show ahí, es buenísimo. El único problema es que mucha butaca a veces es complicada para los mosh, pero el recinto suena increíble. Así que si tienen la oportunidad, vayan a un show en el Astor Plaza. Nosotros los invitamos. Gracias a Atenea por la gestión para esta entrevista. Y bueno, sin más preámbulos, vamos con Santi y su conversación con Wolf Hoffmann de Accept. 9 de mayo, Teatro Astor Plaza. Accept en Colombia.
Hi, Wolf. How are
Hi,
you? How are
I'm
you
good.
doing? How is your day?
So far so good. I'm in Germany right now, so I've got a bunch of interviews today. I'm doing a lot of press for the new album right now, so it's very nice to speak with everybody, and it's nice to speak with you.
Thank you so much. And yeah, can we start with talking about the new album of Access,
Yes,
Humanoid?
yes, please. I'm not
Uh,
sure if you had a chance to listen to it. Probably not. I mean, I don't know. We have released 2 singles so far.
yeah, Humanoid and the Reckoning. Sorry.
Yeah,
And I wanna ask you actually about your first single, Humanoid. Um, could you tell us something about the song, about the video? Because you can see some ideas, maybe about technology, artificial intelligence.
yeah.
So, can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, I mean, the idea came to me when I was writing some of the riffs and some of the basic song ideas. I was thinking, humanoid sounds like a cool concept for a song because it's right now we're going through this major transition in society and in life where everything gets more and more digital. We all depend more and more on technology. And I mean, of course, artificial intelligence is the new topic that everybody is talking about, and for me as an artist, that is quite concerning because I hope human art doesn't get replaced by machine art anytime soon, but it's definitely at a state of development that's very scary. It's so good already, it's really frightening. So that's why we named the song this way, and that's why we choose it as an album title, because it seems to be very relevant for today, for the times that we live in. And in a way, this is a continuation of what we've done with the song Metal Heart all these years ago, because it was already talking about man and machine and like, you know, yeah. So it's basically just Metal Heart 2.0 in a way, only with more current than ever.
Yeah, and talking about that, what do you think about artificial intelligence and its use in music? Do you think it could devaluate the creative work of an artist?
Yeah, well, I used to say, until recently, I used to say, it's maybe just a tool and people are start using, it's just nothing to worry about, and I wasn't scared or I wasn't afraid. But man, I've heard some songs recently that really changed my mind. They're so good. It's fucking insane. I mean, it sounds a little artificial still, of course, because it is. But at the same time, the speed of technology on the development is just crazy. So who knows where it will be in just 2 years or 5 years. So I think it's time that we start thinking about this. Do we want to live in a society where machines create even art? Yes or no? And is there anything we can even do about it? I don't know, but it's definitely something that I think is concerning. Yeah.
And what do you think a way to make some kind of resistance to this uh, to this use of the artificial intelligence in all fields of human life?
I don't know. I'm not a politician, and I'm not. That's not my job. I mean, I'm just a musician. I'm just an entertainer. I just like to be inspired to write songs about stuff, and this is something that concerns me. I do not really have a solution. No, of course not. Yes, there might not even be a solution, but um, it's so new and so fast that that it's society and regulations, we haven't even come up with a way to deal with it. It reminds me a little bit about when MP3s and downloading came out with Napster and all that. Whenever 20 years ago, 15 years ago, everybody was talking about it, and nobody had any regulations. And now it's better. Now at least we found a way to deal with it. There's at least the musicians and the artists get paid a little bit. It's not enough, but at least there is something in place now, and maybe we'll find another way like that with artificial intelligence, because right now it's a free for all. You can just go online and create a song within 2 seconds. You have a brand new song, and it's created by a machine. But there's many questions that need to be answered and resolved.
Okay, and going back to Humanoid, what could you tell us about the album cover? What is the message behind it? It is that general concept on the album, because I don't know, but for me there is a kind of reference of Metal Heart in the cover.
Yeah,
behind it, like in the glass. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, 40 years ago we had this song Metal Heart, and it was talking about the idea that humans might have one day artificial hearts, and maybe it was already talking about this similar subject. Only now technology is so much more advanced that, in a way, this album, or the cover is Metal Heart 2.0. It's a new version of Metal Heart for today's times, and that's why we're very happy when our designer came up with a reference. And if you think about it, if we're creating a monster or a humanoid machine type person, he's going to have a metal heart for sure. So we put it on his heart as a reference to the album cover, but also in the background there. And the designer for this album cover his name is Gyula, and he lives in Hungary. Very talented digital artist.
And it's probably that in this new tour of Accept, we could see the design of the album cover on your guitar.
Yeah, maybe. I don't have a maybe. That's a good idea. Yeah, I could.
Because the in your last visit, your guitar had the design of your last album. So
I know, and I have a bit of a tradition on that, and I'm a little disappointed because my guitar company, the guitars won't be ready in time for this tour. It might only be ready in the fall because of COVID and all this kind of stuff. They're very behind on their production line, so I might just have to come with the same guitars. But I hope that's okay.
And talking about the live shows, after all these years, did you get a little nervous before a show?
Yeah, sometimes. It depends on the show, and it depends on the circumstances. When it's a big show, like a big festival, and we haven't played in a while, and maybe something is a little unusual, I get a little nervous sometimes, but not near as nervous as I used to get in the old days. I mean, sometimes, especially when things do not go like as planned, sometimes we go on stage and something happens, and I don't know, the technical issues or something, and then I used to be very, I used to freak out, but not anymore.
Talking about that, some kind of anxiety, how does it feel to play in Latin America? What is the difference with other audiences, like, for example, Europe?
Oh my God, it's a huge difference because the audience is so wild and so passionate, and the people are there so warm and friendly and so enthusiastic that it's a dream for any performer and any band to come to Latin America, you know. So, I mean, you always want the audience to be excited, you want them to react, but down there it's on a whole nother level. I mean, we have very good fans wherever we go, whether it's Japan or whether it's Europe or North America. But man, you guys down there, you're crazier than all of them.
Talking about Colombia, do you
Yeah.
remember some particular experience here or in general in Latin America, playing in a concert or
Um,
knowing some places?
it's really, I got to be honest, for me, it's really hard to remember every show. I can just more or less remember a vibe. I can remember the feeling and I can remember the atmosphere on stage. That's what I remember more. But I cannot really remember specific because, I mean, after thousands of shows, it's all a bit, you know, it all blends together after a while. It's really hard for me. And it's, I don't know. I just don't have specific. Some guys have amazing memories. They remember the hotel, they remember the backstage area. But for me, not so much. Sorry.
But Accept have played here a lot of times in festivals or
Yeah.
in your own concerts. Can you tell us something about that difference? But here in Latin America, playing in a festival and in your own concert without other bands, you can see any difference?
Yeah, I can tell you that when you play a festival, there's always a bit of a difference versus playing a headline show because you have to remember when we do our own headline show at a club or at a venue or a theater or someplace, then it's 100% Accept fans, you know, because they're all there to see Accept. They all usually know all the songs. So that is a different feeling from being on stage at a festival where maybe half the audience came to see another band and the other half came to see us, or maybe a certain percentage only is there for us. And that's a different vibe. So we kind of tend to do a slightly different set list and sort of play songs that are easier going, and we basically play the greatest hits. And it's a little different from playing a venue that you know is your own dedicated fans that know all the records, and you can play what I call deep cuts. You know, you can play more unusual songs sometimes.
I'm talking about that. Accept has a wide discography. How did you choose the songs for the set list?
I haven't chosen them yet. That remains to be done. We will have a rehearsal session in about a week or so. We will rehearse for a few days in a week actually, and we'll test drive some songs and see how they roll with the new album. And of course, we know a lot of the classics that fans want to hear, so we know there's a certain amount of songs we know we're going to play, but then there's some others we're not quite sure yet. We basically have to try them out and see how they feel. And then we might change them after the first concert. You know, sometimes we have to spontaneously change the running order. So it's never written in stone. You know, it's always a bit, yeah, fluent.
Yeah. And how does it feel after all these years? You are going to actually turn 50 years of career. To have a multi-generational audience, people of, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 years, and something of 60,
Sure.
60 years. How does it feel that?
It feels great. To me, it feels fantastic. And I really like it when sometimes we have like parents coming with their kids, or like, you know, theoretically it could already be grandkids, you know, because we've been doing it so long. There's some fans who listen to us since the 80s and they're maybe now in their 50s and 60s. But at the same time, there's younger people like you know, I know you're not 60. So, you know, we love it that there's multi-generational audiences. It's great. And this is it's the best you can hope for, really. You know.
Yeah, and talking about your career, uh, I'm talking about these 50 years that are going to turn. Are you thinking of something special to the fans? Maybe a tour
Yes.
or a live DVD? I don't know. Have you think about?
Yeah. I mean, I get you're not the first one to ask that. Everybody, a lot of people want to know that. And so far, I haven't even given it much thought yet because I've always, been so busy with the new album and talking about the new album, planning the current tour. I haven't really given it much time. But you are right. I think we should do something for the 50th anniversary, something special. Maybe it's some special performances or special festivals or maybe a live album of some sort. I think it's 50 years is something that's definitely needs to be recognized and celebrated, no?
Yeah, of course. Or maybe another concert with with an orchestra like back in 2017. And how was that experience? How was the process of mixing classical music with heavy metal?
Oh my God, it was a lifetime. It was something on my bucket list. You know the bucket list that people have? Yeah, yeah. That was on my bucket list. Something that I've always wanted to do, and I was so happy and so fortunate that it worked out that time. And it was a big planning, and it was a big organization, a big logistic challenge. It's not easy to do that, especially at a live at a festival show like that, because you don't have any rehearsals, you don't really have a sound check. It's very difficult to do, but we did it and it worked out fantastic. And I was so lucky when it all turned out well. So I'd love to do it again one day for sure.
Yeah, because we can see that also in your solo career. And I want to ask you, how is the process of composition? Because I imagine it is very challenging to, for example, don't have a singer, don't have voice, all instrumental music, but classical instruments with electric, with yeah, that electric metal sound. So, can you tell me something about that?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's almost harder to write an instrumental song because you don't have the voice. You know, just having lyrics and just having a singer makes for so much variation that you can just sort of, yeah. I mean, to me, writing a song with lyrics and a regular song is easier than writing a instrumental song, because when you only have guitars to do the melodic parts, you have to come up with a lot of variation or a lot of different sounds in order to replace the singer and to make it interesting, because it can get boring quite quickly. You know, it's one thing to do a guitar solo of a minute or two, but to have a 3, 4, 5 minute long solo is not easy, you know. And that's one of the reasons why I chose our Ava, my partner now. She was another soloist on that tour. We did a tour in 2019, all through Europe with orchestras. And I wanted to have somebody on stage who can also play an instrument as a soloist. So that's why why I decided to take her on that tour. And ever since we're together as partners, we live together now. So we're working on new songs together. And maybe that is something I would like to work on more in the future. Or not maybe, that is something we're working on. So maybe one day there's going to be an instrumental album with her and me, you know, together on some pieces. Because that's a really interesting concept, to have a violin and electric guitar as a duo, you know.
Yeah, cool, great. So, going back to Accept, how do you feel to being the only current member of the original Accept lineup?
Sad. But, you know, I have no choice. I need to keep everything going. I wish we still had more original members, but it's just a fact of life. And I cannot change it. So my job is to keep the the band afloat and to keep the boat running, basically, or the ship. You know, I never wanted that job or that role in the band, but it just so happens that I'm the last man standing. I'm the only guy who's never left the band. So by default, I'm having to take over a lot of. I mean, I'm the sort of the gatekeeper and the style, and I have to make a lot of decisions along the way. I have to do a lot of the interviews because people ask about the old times, and it's just my role now, whether I want it or not. And I'm happy to do it, but sometimes it's not easy. I wish there was, I wish there was more original members in the band, but hey, it is what it is.
And how did you manage these roles, the musician role with the corporative role of the band to the businessman? How do you manage that?
It's not easy. I wish I tell you, sometimes I would like to get up in the morning and just play guitar. But then I open my laptop and there's 15 emails and then there's 15 messages and this and that. And before I know it, half the day is over and I'm sitting there calling people and I wish I could just be a musician sometimes. It'd be a lot nicer. But hey, I'm not complaining. It's just what it is. It is. Life is what it is. It's still I'm still having the dream job. I wouldn't want to complain because I don't like it when musicians complain all the time, because I mean, hell, we're living the dream, my man.
And the last question, very fast. Favorite song you wish you had written, or band you wish of playing with besides Upset, of course?
Imagine by John Lennon.
Okay, a good one.
It's so simple and so brilliant. I wish I had written it. I tell you, because the simpler the song, the harder it is to write. It's easy to write difficult songs, but simple songs, very, very difficult.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Wolf Hoffmann, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And we hope to see you soon here in Colombia on May 9th in Astor Plaza, Accept, with a new album. So get your tickets, and yeah, thank you so much.
All right, guys. See you soon.